Hey boys and girls, today we're going to continue with our anxiety art. We're going to create, so we listened to the story, My Anxiety Spot, or The Little Anxiety Spot, and it gave us a coping skill in which we looked at our hands and we tracked all of our anxiety to the palm of our hands, and then we blew our anxiety away. So it went something like this. From the tip of my fingers to the middle of my palm, I can do this. I can stay calm. This worry grew too big and it cannot stay. Take a deep breath and blow it away. And that is a coping skill, something that you can use when you feel yourself growing, your anxiety spot growing. So today we're going to create our skill in an artistic way, okay? So everyone has their picture that we took in class. I cut it out for you and I glued it on a white piece of paper. We're going to use oil pastels and watercolor to create this really cool design. So here is this is what everyone has, a picture and all of this white space on this really large piece of paper. Using an oil pastel, which we've already talked about how to use an oil pastel, we know that it's soft and it's messy. So you want to be very careful not to get it on your clothes, not to step on it, and try not to put your fingers all over your paper because you will get fingerprints all over your paper. So using our oil pastel, starting from the palm of our hand, you can create some free lines. And we talked about free lines. Free lines are lines that don't really have a specific way of looking. They're kind of free. They form fun shapes and patterns. They overlap and they just go away from the starting point. So I'm just going around and filling up my paper with those free lines, and I'm going all the way to the edge, as you can see, always starting from my palm because I want it to look like I am blowing them away from my palm. Once you have a few lines and you filled up much of your space, you could go ahead and add some swirls. You could add some organic shapes if you want. Organic shapes are shapes that remind us of nature and the earth. We're just going to kind of add some forms around here. They should all look kind of free form, organic. So think of a raindrop. Think of a puddle on the ground. Think of a leaf shape. So once we have that all in black oil pastel, I'm going to go over my lines and make them a little bit darker, and I'm pressing a little bit harder because we're using watercolor to go over our art. And I want to make sure that my lines stay exactly where they're at and they don't get smudged. So I'm just going over all of my lines very slowly, very carefully, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so this is my picture with my lines. I went over my lines. I pressed nice and hard to make sure I got some dark lines. You can see my hands are full of oil pastels. We're going to keep going. We're not going to worry about that. So I am going to now fill up all of this white space with many different colors. Now you as an artist get to choose. Do you want colors that are bright and happy because you're inviting joy and peace in? Or do you want colors that are kind of like represent anxiety or sadness or worry? So you get to pick your color theme. You get to pick whatever colors you want. And we're going to use watercolor to do that. And it could be as creative as you want. Maybe you want some really bright colors around, and then on the inside you want dark colors. So the cool thing is, because this is an oil pastel, it will not mix with your watercolor. So I can take my yellow watercolor, and as you can see, I'm adding water and I'm swirling it around really well. I'm not digging my paintbrush, I'm just softly swirling. And you can paint right over your oil pastel. You see that? Your oil pastel will not move. It will stay exactly the way it is because it will not mix. So you guys are going to fill in your art with whatever color theme you choose. It does not matter. You could be very intentional about the colors you want. You could think about what makes you happy, what colors you feel bring sadness or represent sadness. If you remember, Pablo Picasso used during the blue period, he used a lot of blue colors. During the rose period, when he was a little happier, he used a lot of reds and pinks and oranges. So you can really use whatever you want. You could make half of it cool colors, half of it warm color. Think about what moves you, what would make you feel good about your art, and do it. So this is what the finished piece will look like. You can see that I have watercolor from one end of my paper to the other end of my paper. All of it is completely filled in color. I want you guys to have a good time. Be careful going around your picture. You don't want to get water on this picture because it will ruin this paper. This is very thin paper that we took our pictures with, okay? So I hope you have fun and remember to blow that anxiety away.